Oops. John is now unloading the bin of dough. So back in the days before our nice handy dandy Oliver, we used to do this on top of hand mixing and pre-shaping and manually spraying into an oven, staying up all night. So John's scaling the dough, and then I am kind of stretching it out to be the right size and shape. So when I'm doing this, I just want to try to do it to where it's pretty uniform throughout and also has the right amount of tension. And then Dylan will put it in some rice flour and couche it in on a sheet tray. We just found like shaping them into a log, for example, helps the next station do what they need to do, which helps me do what I need to do on the final shaping. It's got to feel right. Like, you don't want the dough to be breaking, like forming a skin and then breaking. You just want it to be like it has a give, like a good bounce. I don't want to say what I usually compare it to. A nice butt. Firm, but still has a little bit of jiggle. The secret is learning how to use the table, the stickiness of the table, in my opinion, the stickiness of the table to your advantage. There are several different ways that you can pre-shape it. You're basically just going for a log. So I like to flour ahead of time, so I'm not sticking to every little thing. So you can roll it just like this. Honestly, it's very, this part is very like low pressure. So roll it like this, pass it on. You can also, because you're kind of also trying to start the process of building tension. So you can also roll it in on itself, like almost like what I'm doing on the final step, but like this. These have been pre-shaped and then kind of sat for a while, so that tension isn't too strong to where we can't do the next few steps. So here we can stretch this out, bring both sides into the middle, kind of forming almost like a bow tie, and then pulling into the dough in halfway, so pulling out and then sticking it to itself halfway. And I turn it around and grab this and pull all the way over, so like completely closing. And then I roll that onto the seam and start to use the tension of the table to kind of get a uniform, like, so oftentimes like the center will be skinnier and then the ends are a little bit fatter, so I just focus on the ends. In that case, if I have a bulge, I'll just work that little bulge, and I'm just using like my fingertips and as little like scoops. And then with my thumbs, I'm just pushing up against the table, so it's almost like you're pushing it into itself. So here I have a little bulge. I'm just gonna work it just slightly more. And then you can choose to have pointed ends, and you can choose to have rounded ends. I keep mine a little bit like shorter and plumper, just so that they fit the sheet tray better. And also, because when they come out to bake, they will already get like a little bit, like they're going to be looser in tension, so that once you take them off of here and onto the baking board, there's a little bit of, you get more leeway. And then I keep usually like a little pile of flour, AP flours for my hands on this part. Since Logan and Dylan are helping me out, I have everything prepped for me. If the dough is too sticky, I can just quickly dab my hands in there, brush it off, and then roll it in. So it's sticking a little bit over here, so I just added a little flour to my hands. For baguettes, because they're kind of one of the more difficult things to sport, even though it's like when you watch baguette videos, it's like almost like they do it so fast and confidently that it's hard to imagine that there's so much technicality to it. But I like to use this so that I can kind of get the blade. This is a like more traditional long, so it's got a wooden handle and then like a curved piece that I'm just gonna put this blade onto. You bend it away from you and slide it through. So then it has like this nice curve and I don't have to work as hard to make the lines I need to make. This is rice flour. We just like to add a little color and contrast. You want to stay, if you divide this into 3 lanes, you want to stay within your middle lane. So if you had like a lane here and a lane here, you want all your lines to be in the center as best as possible. So just gonna kind of do it like that. And then the second most important thing is that you want about 1 inch of overlap to get a nice ear. And I like to angle my blade so it's kind of lifting up under the skin as I cut. So I'm going to find the center of my baguette and try to keep all 3 of my lines in the center. Just going to go like this. So I'm between these 2 lanes. I'm going to overlap 1 inch, come through again, and overlap 1 inch and come through. And then this is the fun part. You have to like kind of put it in fast like a pizza. The loaves bake about 30 minutes. These bake about 20 to 25. So we do 480, 420, and then 15 minutes with 8 seconds of steam for the first half, and then 10 more minutes, 10 to 12 minutes on the second half. So similar, but a little shorter. I baby these a lot. Oh, that's our oven. I'm gonna take the sexiest one out. And then, so I did not shape these. So they're not as beautiful as they could be. So these, I would say this one is like my favorite in terms of how the scoring came out. I'm going for this little ear that's sticking up. But I actually like these to be a little bit darker, so I'm gonna put them back in. If you don't nail the scoring or nail the shape, baguettes are so finicky. So if you don't nail the scoring or nail the shaping, like it'll tell you in the final bake. Like these got no ears, basically. And when this one was shaped, this is the what happens if you don't focus on that uniformity throughout. So you have this kind of funny shaped, can you see that? It's kind of like thin in the middle but bulgy on the ends. I like them quite a bit crispier. We have to wait because they're not dark enough.
It's good.
I don't know, you tell me, what do you think?
What happened here?
I don't know, that's what I was explaining. It's a shaping error. I did not shape these. Customarily, you don't want to cut it right when you take it out of the oven, otherwise you're going to get a really doughy, weird texture inside. So this has been cooling for about, I don't know, 3 hours or so. So we're going to cut into it so you get that nice crumb shot. Hopefully I don't slice my finger off. So in a baguette especially, you're looking for a much more open structure than what you would get in a loaf, or at least a little bit more open structure. To me, like, I feel like it could be better. I feel like it could be more open. This is very close to like our loaf crumb. So I would wish to see like a little more openness. Of course, nobody really cuts it like this. I mean, well, that's not true. If you're making a sandwich, it's a great way to cut it. I prefer to use these for bruschetta. So that's pretty nice actually, the cross-section view. But I like to use these for bruschetta. They're great for sandwiches. The crust is really nice. You can kind of hear it. Very delicious. I would have actually baked this even darker, preferably, my preference. We try to bake kind of a variety of everyone, ranging from super light to more on the darker side. I prefer the darker side, but it's actually very convenient because when you're baking, you have to like really get to know your equipment, and like each deck of this oven bakes like just a little bit different. It's like nuances with every deck. So it kind of naturally does it, even in the same deck, like from left to right. The right always bakes lighter. I think it's because there's less steam on that side. The steam comes out of the left, so the left always tends to bake a little bit darker.